Wednesday is here once again. Hi there. Welcome, everybody, to Cast Iron Wednesday. This, of course, is a tradition that many of the smaller YouTube cooking channels have been doing now for the past several years at least, and that certainly includes mine. I mean, I'm very pleased that my channel has grown to this size. But nonetheless, we don't see this on any of the really, really big cooking channels. But nonetheless, we're here to have some fun once again, doing a cast iron video on Wednesday because, well, just that. It's fun. And because you can see that a lot of people seem to think it's fun because of all the people who show up here. And I'm very grateful for that. So thank you very much to everybody who has been kind enough to show up here tonight for another Cast Iron Wednesday. I see regular folks here on my channel like Kay Clock and William Hurt, and hello, Rocket Caver. Flash 14.99, Fuzz Fork 8. It's a great time to be a school kid and get to stay home because of the weather. Yes, and hello to Pat Z and Huggy Bear and Hog Wild Cast Iron Restoration and Rich Qualls and Clico and Cynthia Wesley, Granny Graham, TBD, and hello to Robert Lozano. Hi, everybody. Hi, and nice to have you here. Hello to everybody who's been kind enough to show up here on my channel tonight. Because yes, it is true. We are having a giveaway contest tonight. Yes, we are. This is going to be well, just that, where people here in the live chat are going to have the opportunity to put their type a secret word into the chat, and then you will be entered to win a cast iron griddle, which I have heating up on the stove right now. In fact, I have shown pictures of this griddle before, and I have done videos of this griddle before, so folks should be able to see what it is. It is a Wagner Ware cast iron griddle, and it is not a vintage griddle. This, in fact, is a brand new, well, not brand new anymore, but it is a modern day cast iron griddle made by or for the Wagner Ware company. Apparently, it was made in 2023, and they sent it to me as something of a promotional item last year in 2024. And again, I have made some videos of it. But yes, we will be getting into that in just a minute or so. Yes, hello to Alex Padilla, if I'm pronouncing that right. Giveaway, yes. As the description of this video here, this live video here says, tonight we are indeed having a cast iron giveaway. And so I should probably say a couple of things because the rules require me to do so. That number one, whom am I promoting with this giveaway contest? I am promoting me. Pretty much this, I mean, while this griddle was in fact given to me at no charge by Wagner Cast Iron, I am not promoting Wagner Cast Iron by doing this. They sent this griddle to me to review and to essentially do anything that I wanted to do with it. And that's certainly what I've done. And I am holding this giveaway really just to get some attention for this channel here. I am not asking for monetary donations, and I'm not selling this griddle or anything like that. This is just simply a giveaway contest. Essentially, the contest began the moment this live video began, and this contest will be over when this live video is over. In order to actually be entered into the giveaway, it will be necessary to type the secret word into the chat, which is showing here on the side of the screen here. Typing it into the comments will not enter you in. So that means we can't do it at midnight or 10 or 2:30 tomorrow afternoon or 5 seconds before the actual drawing or anything like that. It has to be here during the chat. So thank you to everybody who has been kind enough to show up here in the chat. All right. And yeah, hello, Val's Black Cats Rules. Here for the fun, stay for the giveaway. Subscribe and thumbs up too. Yeah, that would be nice. But yeah, anyway, yes, and besides, this is a good excuse to keep warm as well on this wonderful, lovely winter evening here. Having said all that, and hello to Sam Ostroff. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for the kind words. And Red Hen and everybody who is here. But I figure at this point, well, we might as well take a look at it once again. I have it heating up on the stove already, and it's already reached 500 degrees, so I'm afraid I can't lift it up and show you the bottom. However, the bottom of this griddle is the thumbnail photo. I better move my this microphone, in fact, as well. The thumbnail video, I'm sorry, the thumbnail photo of this video is in fact the bottom side of this Wagner cast iron griddle. And I have posted photos of that on my Facebook as well. So as you can see, it looks exactly like a vintage Wagner Ware griddle. And for that matter, now that I think of it, give me 1 second. Finally remembered a measuring tape, even if it is a cheap little one here. So that even though I can't touch this thing, because again, this thing is hot, 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 this thing here is just about, the actual cooking surface is just about 17 inches across by roughly, let me see if I'm seeing this right, roughly 9 to 10 inches wide. So there's the typical, so there's the diameter there of this griddle. But just as important, let me show you again. I've got this thing here. Holy cow. This thing is at 500, it says here 560 or 550 degrees on this end. And on that end, we're at like close to 570 as well. So it's definitely hot enough to do some cooking, that's for sure. Unfortunately, that's still nowhere near enough to warp this. I mean, you've got to get at least anywhere between 900 and 1200 degrees before you get to the serious point of actually damaging your cast iron. So I started heating this thing up on the lowest setting of my burner here on the stove top at about 7:30, and I slowly heated it up until probably only a few minutes before 8 o'clock or so. And by that point, even on the lowest setting of my burner, it had still reached about 400 degrees. But I like the low and slow here so that, again, there should be less chance of this warping. All right. Anyway, check out the mud brooker. Yes, well, that too. Okay, what are we cooking tonight? Well, yeah, that's the thing. I may have made a mistake because I ended up choosing one of the easiest dishes you could possibly make on this kind of a griddle. Essentially, I went looking for recipes and I came across one that was actually made for the Blackstone griddle. Heaven forbid, a Blackstone griddle, yes. And they simply call it Blackstone Griddle Cowboy Stir Fry. And it's really no more than just that. It's going to be in two parts here. I got some some thinly sliced potatoes and onions, and on the other hand, we've got zucchini, bell peppers, and some kielbasa. And all we're doing is a nice stir fry to simply mix these two together. And supposedly this is so easy that this is all going to be done in less than 30 minutes or so. Although I realize I may have made, yeah, considering that these things are coated in oil, I'm thinking I probably don't even have to I don't even have to add oil to the pan, to the griddle. And so that's not a bad way to start. Okay. I couldn't see the secret word. Yes, good point. That's true. I haven't done the secret word yet. So before we get down to this, let's actually start the contest, shall we? As I said, this is a yeah, again, this is a giveaway contest here in which folks will, in order to enter this contest, it is simply necessary to type the secret word into the chat. And I'm not actually stating the secret word because I don't want spammers or anything like that to or anyone to actually try taking advantage of this. Now, you only really have to type the secret phrase into this chat once. You do not have to spam it. You do not have to repeat it 10,000 times. So please don't flood the chat. Because the way it works is I'm just going to be taking a log of this chat, and I'm going to put in one entry for every person who has typed the secret phrase in. And it's as simple as that. And everybody will have a fair chance at winning, whether you start typing it in right now or if you type it in for the first time 5 seconds before the video ends tonight. Oh yeah, and one more thing. I was a fan of David Lynch's movies too. So I guess that's pretty much all we need to say about that. However, having talked so much, let's start with step one, shall we? Here's a good start for you. Anyway. So yeah, this is part one of this so-called cowboy stir fry here, in which I've got some russet potatoes, which are supposed to be thinly sliced to make it easier to cook. And as you can see, I've made a mess already. mixed in with some onions, garlic, and your usual spices, like oil, paprika, and the like. Really nothing to it at this point. Okay, then going to be French fried taters. Well, not exactly French fried. As I mentioned, this is going to be kind of a stir fry. And I can see already I've got to be careful here, not to make too much of a mess. That's the thing about doing this on a griddle, of course, is pretty much it's going to be a mess almost no matter what. I had been thinking maybe of doing burgers, but something about this simply caught my eye. And I can see now why this is actually supposed to be done in two parts here. Anyway, these were coated with oil before we started. That's why I did not add oil to the griddle before actually putting these potatoes on. And once again, though, this is a Wagner griddle, and people who have questions about this Wagner griddle, please feel free to ask them. Or for that matter, if you know about this Wagner griddle, please feel free to answer them. Because as I mentioned, Wagner Ware, the company, in fact, is back from the dead, so to speak, in that a company calling itself Wagner Ware did actually start up about 2 years or so ago, especially for the purpose of producing new Wagner cast iron. And they have, in fact, I keep getting this all over the place, don't I? Maybe I might have chosen the wrong recipe to make here tonight. That's all right. We'll manage it. And for the last couple of years or so, in fact, they have been doing what they can to promote themselves. So far, they have put out one product, and that is this product here. In that, if you go onto the new Wagner Ware website, you will see this particular cast iron griddle on sale there. And they are selling this griddle on their website with a price tag of $240. Yep, that's right, $240. And that shows you how I am not actually trying. I'm not being paid by them for that, and I'm not selling this myself. That's what they sell it for on their website. And ever since it was revealed to have that $240 price tag, people have been arguing back and forth about it. Because a lot of people have said this cast iron griddle, as nice as it is, may not be worth $240. Especially since you could go onto eBay and find a vintage Wagner griddle for probably about half this price, or maybe even less, if you're lucky and you get yourself a really, really good deal. You might be right. I'm actually not here to argue over whether it's fair for them to sell it at a $240 price. They can set whatever price they want, quite frankly. It's really the question of whether people would be willing to buy it. And there's a comment here. Note, is all caps necessary? Oh, yeah, that's right. Giveaway wanters, right. I make cornbread pancakes. Yeah, that all sounds good. I've seen a bunch of Wagner ads on Telegram. Oh, that's good, I guess. I'm glad to hear they're advertising. Anyway, because that is one thing. The discussions of this Wagner griddle here have really taken a turn and here it goes again, have really taken a turn that I suspect Wagner may not actually want, because people are really questioning the whole Wagner company in general, and they might very well have a point. You see, it's really odd that you set up a company like that using the famous Wagner name, and all they have done is put out one product, and it's not even a cast iron pan. I mean, all of the other startup companies, like Finex, Stargazer, Field, Butterpat, they have all started out with a cast iron skillet. And the main reason for that, of course, is that a cast iron skillet is immensely useful. There are 1,001 reasons to use and own a cast iron skillet. It is essentially a must-have in the kitchen. You will get a lot of use out of it. People are willing to go out and buy a cast iron pan. I mean, that's why they sell them, of course. People might be less willing, especially these days, to go out and buy a cast iron griddle. In fact, they might be more willing to go out and buy something like a Blackstone griddle. So some folks have been wondering about whether Wagner's business model is one that's, well, is going to work out in the long run. I'm certainly wishing them the best. I mean, they are still a USA-based company. They're apparently based in Philadelphia. And as far as I can tell, they do not have their own foundry. They're not, here it goes again. They are not making these griddles themselves. As far as I can tell, these things are being made for them by another company. The problem is that they have not stated who the other company is. Their literature and their website all do say that this griddle is in fact made in the USA. But that's about all we know about it. I've heard rumors, unofficial rumors, and I can't verify it, that it may very well be the Lancaster Cast Iron Company or foundry that might be making these griddles here for Wagner. I really should have taken the time to reach out to them and verify that or not, but I'm afraid I have not done so. Anyway, meanwhile, these things are indeed starting to shrink, so we're not off to a bad start right now. As you can see, I'm just doing this low and slow here. This is not a restaurant, and I am definitely not doing the whack, whack, whack type of griddle stir fry, especially since I only have a limited amount of room. This is not my whole, this griddle does not cover my whole stovetop. So as you can see, I've been doing my best to try to keep from making a mess all over the place. So there is that too. All right. Is this griddle flat on one side and ribbed grill lines on the other for X marks? Look again at the thumbnail photo for this video. Look on my YouTube channel, and you will see the thumbnail of this live video here. That is the underside of the griddle. The underside, really, while you can indeed cook on it, it's not exactly made for making grill marks, unfortunately. It has the Wagner Ware logo on the underside, along with an elongated circular pattern. It starts out with a circle in the center and then extends out it with rays to all of the different sides. I believe the original design of this was really meant more to conduct heat from the stovetop burner than anything else. So so while, of course, it's a piece of cast iron, and yes, you can, I keep getting these all over the place. You can cook on the underside if you want to, but it's really not designed for a lot of cooking on the underside, and there's really not much of an advantage of cooking like that on the underside as well. So, yeah, thanks for the thumbnail. Well, thank you. Okay, yeah, glad it doesn't have the grill pattern on the back. Yeah, it's cross-braced, probably to prevent warping. That's a very good point then, Brian Gilcrease. Thank you very much for your comment on that. And Wagner was certainly not the only vintage cast iron maker that did that. I believe not all of them, but Griswold also did it that way as well. I believe Lodge and BS&R had a different design on the underside of their griddles, though. But nonetheless, the big two, Wagner and Griswold, that is how they designed their, and here we go again, how they designed their griddles. And nonetheless, though, even though I am doing only a so-so job of getting the stir fry done here, and that's really my fault more than anything else, there are, of course, folks who live on their stovetop griddle. For a lot of folks, something like this would never leave the stovetop. Because, of course, there are a whole bunch of things you can make on this. Pancakes, burgers, cheese steaks, the way they do it in those restaurants, where you throw your meat on the griddle and just whack, 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 whack it away. All right, let me spread this out a little bit. There we go. Actually, it's not looking too badly. Oops, I think I should put it back up on this side here. Anyway, yes, I'm very impressed with anything from BSR. Yeah, I don't blame you at all, Fuzz, for it. BSR is definitely probably my favorite vintage cast iron to collect as well. You see my sister, proposition you show prime. What? Never mind. Yeah, my lodge griddle doesn't leave my stove. Exactly what I mean, Janet Bautista. Yes. How would that function on a glass top stove? Okay, or not as much? Um, I think something like this would make it should still work okay on a glass top stove. Just like other pieces of cast iron, there may be disadvantages of using it on a glass top stove. I mean, it is generally a flat bottom, and I suppose that's one advantage of this. It is a brand new Wagner griddle, and it is absolutely not warped. I have certainly taken pains to make sure that while I have used this griddle, I have done what I can to ensure it is not warped. So it will sit flat on your stovetop, whoever is the lucky person who wins this tonight. All right. Things are not looking too badly so far, and I do believe these potatoes are shrinking too. So I'd say we're not, as I said, not too bad. All right. Telling you Valley can't be beat. Yeah, exactly. That griddle would make a great corned beef hash after this year's corned beef. Yes, that is true. We only have a couple months to go until St. Patty's Day. Time for the corned beef. Of course, you can make corned beef at any time of year. But yes, exactly. Things like that. I mean, as I said, part of the difficulty here is that I myself do not have a lifetime of experience using a griddle like this. I mean, I pretty much have been using my wok and my skillets almost exclusively. So griddles are still something that I need to practice. Although this isn't doing too badly. As I said, this stuff is definitely shrinking, which means that these potatoes are definitely cooking. And even though these are russet potatoes, they're not falling apart. So I'm thinking that's not a bad thing either. All right, my Samsung stove came with an enamel griddle. What meat are you having with this? Yeah, that's going to come with part two. I've got kielbasa and bell peppers and zucchini here. So yes, there is going to be more than just the fried potatoes. Taters, although I really like taters and onions myself too. On the whole, I'd say we're not doing too badly. All right, so, and I don't see any reason why I couldn't put it back in the same bowl, since after all, these are just potatoes. Try to do it in a manner. Yeah, there you go, so that you folks can see what's going on here. And this is part one. I actually do have more of these in the fridge, so that if I have to make more of it tonight, I will be able to do so. And yes, by the way, before I ship this out, I will clean this up a little bit so that it'll be ready to cook with if when the winner receives this. It's definitely hot enough, that's for sure. All right. Anyway, that is part one. Okay, I really like my Lagostina cast iron, and it's nice. I can usually find it on sale for good deals. Nice. Anyone else like listening to Bobby Vinton back in the day? Oh, I see. You're talking about the secret word, I think, or the secret phrase, which again, I'm not stating But of course, again, anybody who wants to type the secret phrase in is certainly feel free to do so. I will say again, you only have to type the secret phrase in once. In that, if you have actually typed the secret phrase in, you do not have to type it in again. And while we're thinking of Bobby Vinton, I'm also thinking of Roy Orbison and a candy-colored clown they call the Sandman. So yeah, that's a reference to a certain movie. I'm not sure which movie though, nonetheless. Okay, that was step one. I guess we might as well go on to step two. Anyway, I came across this recipe, which is supposedly made especially for the Blackstone griddle. And they describe it as a cowboy stir fry. I guess they call it cowboy just because it's supposed to be a mishmash, I suppose. Whether or not it's a cowboy stir fry, this is not smelling too badly. I've got some kielbasa here, some zucchini, bell peppers, and all of this is actually coated with Italian seasoning. So this is giving me some interesting scents or smells as well. And let's just say, I know folks seem to call that thing in my kitchen the chaos detector. Let's just say it's taken care of. I did my best to prepare tonight, that's for sure. In fact, I hope I don't have the heat up too high. I might even want to turn this down a little bit. In that I do want to get these things good enough so that they'll soften. Again. Anyway, it's really just a matter of waiting until this is caramelized. At least the bell peppers are. And from the looks of that, I'd have to say this may not take very long. All right. Reminds me of Dennis Hopper. Oh, yeah. Most of the things Dennis Hopper said, I don't think I can repeat here on YouTube Live. Shit. Mommy. Mommy. And that's as far as I'm going to go. Hey, neighbor, we're taking our neighbor for a ride. We're going to go have ourselves a beer. What kind of beer you drink, dude? What kind of beer you drink? Heineken. F that. You know. Pabst Blue Ribbon. Not bad for a movie. Oh my God, that movie's almost 40 years old. Oh, now I feel old. And again, I'm getting this all over the place. Still smells good though. Alright, if you can find home smoked sausage, they sell it in both rope and pre-sliced length. Well, that sounds good too. Yeah. Don't you look at me! Don't look at me! I believe people once said, as far as movies were concerned, I believe Taxi Driver was the big thing in the 70s. And then there was The Untouchables, of course, and Scarface. But Blue Velvet was in there in the 80s. And then came Goodfellas in the 90s. And Pulp Fiction. But yeah, Dennis Hopper, if I remember right, in fact, he had gotten out of rehab when he did that particular movie. And that movie kind of like gave him his career back. So he's certainly grateful for that. Apparently, Dennis Hopper, despite being, trouble himself, apparently he wasn't a bad guy. Anyway, Goodfellas was awesome. Yeah, exactly. This is a wok meal cooked on a griddle. You know, I would absolutely agree with you on this. I'm actually not disagreeing with you. And I think given my own choice, I would probably cook this in a wok. Nonetheless, As I said, this is a recipe that was originally made for the Blackstone griddle. You know, the type of thing that people who go out, if not camping, with their Blackstone griddles, that's the type of thing they would usually make. And I will say, if nothing else, despite the mess I'm making, this thing smells pretty darn good. So I am not disagreeing with your criticisms. I mean, as I said enough times, I am not a professional chef. I have a long way to go with a lot of cooking techniques and skills. This is definitely one of them. Nonetheless, this stuff is shrinking. It is beginning to caramelize. So despite my poor efforts at doing this, still actually making progress. All right. I would probably pick my 14-inch Lodge pan. I don't blame you. Yeah, I suppose may not be the best example of using a griddle. But then again, those of you who use a griddle, you know what you can make with this. You could make burgers, pancakes, hot dogs, all kinds of summer cooking. Pretty much anything you could make on a grill, you could make on this griddle here. Inside. Heck, you could do steaks on this. So, as I said, I mean, YouTube being YouTube, there are going to be a whole bunch of comments calling me out on how terrible I'm doing this stir fry. Lousy stir fry. Hey, the important thing is the taste. And as I said, this thing smells. If this thing tastes half as good as it smells, then I am not complaining. Definitely getting some browning here on this as well. So, and as stated anyway. Okay, now, as I mentioned, the winner of this giveaway tonight will receive this griddle. And I should probably show you the box that this griddle came with as well. This is how it was sent to me by Wagner Cast Iron. In that they actually sent this in a wooden box. So, yes, you will be getting the box as well. Yeah, it's pretty nice. It has the Wagner Ware logo on it. I damaged this box the moment I took it out of the box, and this was my fault. It happened the moment I unwrapped the shipping box that it came in. I used a knife to open up the shipping box, and it ended up running a long scratch all along the top of this box. It did not crack it or break it, but it is definitely scratched, and that happened the moment I opened it up. So all of this is one reason, are several reasons why I'm giving this away for free here. Because obviously it's damaged goods. It's used goods. You can see I'm staining this cast iron. It is definitely not unused. It is no longer brand new. But hey, it's free. And somebody, some lucky winner is going to get this for free because I'm going to pay for the shipping and everything. I've done these giveaways before. There are folks who will know that I am a person of my word. And when I say you will receive this, whoever wins it, you will receive it. Actually, this stuff is definitely shrinking at this point. So, again, getting it all over the place. But, yeah, I'd say we're probably getting close to that point here. All right. Jaws, Star Wars, Billy Jack, Outlaw, Josie Willis, Planet of the Apes. Oh, I guess you're talking about good movies from the 70s, and I wouldn't disagree with that either. So, Griddle has been on my wish list for a while. Well, you never know JIR finishes. I mean, as we mentioned, all that's necessary is to simply type the secret word once into this chat here before this video ends tonight. And you do not have to wait until you see the secret word. You could type that. If you have not yet typed the secret phrase in, you can do so right now. And yes, it's okay to ask other folks what the secret phrase is. I'm not telling anybody to keep it quiet. As I said, this giveaway contest will end when this live video ends tonight. Typing the secret phrase into the comments of this video will not enter you into the contest. So that means if typing it in tonight will not enter you into the contest, or typing it in tomorrow or 3 months from now will not enter you into the contest. Sorry to have to say that, but again, that's how it is with these. I actually have trouble with these giveaway contests. Almost every time something has gone wrong and somebody has complained about it. Often with good reason. I'm not saying people have whined about it, but it seems like some way or another, someone always ends up getting overlooked in these kind of contests. I do my best to be fair to everyone. But really, it's like I was actually telling myself I'm never gonna do another one of these giveaways again, and yet here I am. Well, again, that's my problem and not yours. Your problem, so to speak, is winning this. But hey, yeah, once again, this stuff is shrinking, that's for sure. And I'd have to say it again, it's not doing too badly at all. Despite my making a mess all over the place, I do believe we are actually accomplishing what we set out to do. Namely, we've got ourselves a nice little stir fry here. Because it's only going to be, oh man, come on. There we go. Because it's only going to be necessary to mix these two parts together. And I do realize, again, that there are folks here who could toss this around like a hibachi restaurant. I am not one of them. As I mentioned, I have been thinking of doing burgers tonight. But, well, number one, ground beef is expensive. And here I get to make a whole bunch of veggies. Veggies are good for you. And I am trying, once again, to get on a healthy eating regimen. I started doing that, in fact, on New Year's Day. All right. I have that enamel griddle that came with my stove, says Huggy Bear, but I'd be afraid to put it on some high heat. Well, there is that too. That's the nice thing about this being a nice bare cast iron griddle, in that I can do this to it. And that is not going to damage this. If you have an enamel griddle, I realize you can't do that. You probably can't even use metal utensils on that enamel griddle. Or you probably shouldn't use metal utensils on that enamel griddle. So yeah, nice to be back to the basics here. So regardless of what folks may say about the business practices of the new Wagner Ware company, this is a damn good piece of cast iron. It has a smooth surface. It is smoother than a Lodge cast iron griddle, yes. It is not polished mirror smooth, but apparently the original Wagner griddles were not polished mirror smooth either. I saw a couple of comments about that supposedly that Wagner really polished their griddles down, and that apparently is not true. This is an almost exact replica of the original Wagner griddle. Oh yeah, the fish spatula. Yeah, no, this is really a useful thing, because it's got this nice edge here, and it's really good for scraping things off. And in fact, I think we're at the point where I'm going to have to do that. So let's do it this way. Let's split this into two. And time to start getting this into the pan, into the bowls, and mixing it all together. Some here, some here. So there's a lot of stir fry here. Holy cow. And I only made half as much as the recipe called for. The recipe called for 2 pounds of kielbasa, 2 zucchini, 2 onions. You get the idea. I only did 1 of each. And this is still, well, I suppose if you've got a big family, you might need to use the whole thing. But here, I don't think we are doing too badly at all. Because after all this, bam. Now all we have to do is mix it up. I still have the heat on this thing. Maybe I should turn it off. There we go. And just like that, here is our cowboy stir fry. Taters, onions, kielbasa, bell peppers, zucchini. It is a nice, simple stir fry. But yeah, this definitely smells good too. And here's the other bowl, which I just have to do the same thing. Mix it all together. Taters, onions, kielbasa. Man, does this smell good. But, okay. So anyway, so much for that part, where I've made a mess all over the stove here. I want the bowl with more peppers. Shit. Yeah, okay, I could always put a little bit more of this into here, I suppose. But anyway, I'm probably the one who's going to be eating this as it is. So here's the other part, cleaning it up. And yeah, I'm using the fish spatula for this. All right. So far, so good. As I said, I did turn off the heat, although this thing is still blazing hot right now. Okay, let's move this over here. All right. Not bad, actually. And you know, if I wasn't live and if I wasn't talking my way all this through, I probably would have had this done in half the time. So we're talking like it is now 8:42. This probably would have been like a 20-minute stir fry here. So that's not too bad at all. Fuzz fork. I do have one Pioneer spatula to use. My other metal ones are dirty. Yeah. I think Cole brought the crowd out tonight. Well, there is that, Bob the Builder, although the contest might have something to do with it too. I have a spatula like that, and I use it every day. I gave one to my friends, and I use hers today. You must be talking about the fish spatula. Yeah, this one is a Winco. I believe I got this at a local restaurant store. These things are really not expensive. Um, and yes, this is really good because it has a nice thin edge to it. And for doing things like scrambled eggs or fried eggs, actually, for that matter, I wonder what the temperature is of this right now. So far, we're at 272. Okay, I think what I will do is turn this back on, but only on the lowest setting. And I think I might actually top this off with a fried egg. They're also great for fish. Yeah, how about that? That's a satisfying fit on the stovetop. Yeah, no, that's definitely yes. Wagner knew what they were doing when they designed this griddle, that's for sure. It is really the right size to fit over two burners. I usually rebuild my spatula for extra strength. Well, you're certainly better than I am at that. That's for sure. So, yeah, I have a spatula as well. So omelet. Well, omelet is tempting, except for the fact that I unfortunately am down to my last egg tonight. I'm afraid. So, but yeah, an omelet might not have been a bad idea either. Well, still, I mean, despite the mess that I made, I am definitely not complaining about this stir fry. That's for sure. In fact, I think I might even grab a fork and just sample it, so to speak. Mm, mm. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Nice. Mm. Mm-hmm. Well, I know what I'm eating for the next couple of days. Hmm. Oh yeah, that's not taking long at all. This thing is already up at over 300 degrees. So while I'm waiting, ah, here's the butter. Ah, mm. I'll do this as quickly as I can here. All right. That means let's see how terrible I am at this. Because guess what, folks? You get to see the famous cast iron egg test done live. You know the one that's like, oh yeah, I can cook my cast iron non-stick. See, I'm gonna cook an egg on it, and they always end up using an egg. Not that I blame them. I mean, after all, as you can see, things are not looking too badly already. So far, so good. And by the way, I only have this on the very lowest setting here because, I did have this, I have been cooking with this thing all this time. And when I measured it with the temperature gun only a moment or so ago, it was already back up to over 300 degrees. So I want to be careful here. Don't want to heat this up too much and cause these eggs, what else, to stick. So I'm doing my best here. Besides all of this residue from cooking and everything, it looks like I'm getting a black residue here on the edge of the egg. So, okay, I use a 1950s Echo spatula for nearly everything, solid but just as flexible as the fish spatula. It's all in if you know how to cook in cast iron. I fried eggs on a rusty cast iron skillet and they slid right out. Yes, you're exactly right about that. And that's really the whole point here. The whole point is just that. It's the temperature control. And here's where I'm hoping that I don't end up with egg on my face and have this thing spill. But I suppose, well, no sticking so far. All right. Yes, and exactly. Mental health matters. That phrase looks pretty familiar because, once again, this is indeed a giveaway contest in that folks here can type the secret phrase into this chat at any time until this video ends. Nice. I think I did do an over easy egg this time. It does not look like the yolk has broke. All right. So in that case, let's get this out of here before it does overcook. Bam. And we have a fried egg. And unfortunately, that's my last egg, which is a shame because, yeah, now I kind of like have the urge to make more eggs. Oh, well, let's turn this off. But there you go. By the way, did anybody see any sticking? I mean, just like that, I threw a little bit of butter into this pan. I hope I did not overdo it on the butter. And that egg, as you saw, did not stick at all. I was actually able to turn it over easy. And the egg is still not, the yolk is still not broken. So, yeah, I'm quite happy with that. All right. Drop or two of, yeah, exactly. Yes, handsome stone. Thank you very much. Yeah, Rodney Parks. I mean, I've said this before. I have not been cooking my entire life. I learned how to cook in December of 2010, and I know that because that's when I wrote it down on Facebook. That was when I used a cast iron pan for the first time to cook a steak, and I did a terrible job on that steak. I turned that steak into a piece of leather, and and except for one thing, I had a lot of fun cooking that steak. That was a great experience for me. It was stress relief. It was really what I needed at the time, and that was enough for me to catch the bug, the cooking bug and the cast iron bug. And now, 14 years later, here's where I am today. So, and quite frankly, if someone like me can learn how to cook in cast iron, anyone can do it. $13 for 3 dozen eggs in Western New York. Ugh. Oh, yeah. How did you eat before you cooked? Before I learned how to cook, I was like far too many people here in our modern day society. Back before I learned how to cook, our freezer was full of Walmart burritos and Walmart microwave pizzas and Walmart pot pies, those cheap things. And as a result, I mean, we did not starve. In fact, we got really all too fat off of that stuff. And I had a change of lifestyle, and I was bitten by the cast iron bug, and it's been like that ever since. But enough about that. The point is, nonetheless, is that we made ourselves a nice stir fry tonight, along with a fried egg to go on top as well. It may look a little dirty, but the important thing is the taste. That plus the fact that, again, I did not break the yolk. In fact, let's demonstrate that. There's the yolk. The yolk's on you, folks. Or on me. All right, I'll get one more munchie. mm. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. One other thing, I've been accused of making bland food because I don't drown my food in spices, but that's just how I like it. Anyway, okay. Organic type eggs at Costco, 2 dozen for 7.50, and so on. Yeah. All right. Cast iron seems to absorb light and attract the eye. Well, there is that. I mean, really, the appeal of cast iron is something that people have been arguing about really for decades, especially since it's made a big comeback here on the internet over the past decade or so. I mean, it's been pointed out that while there are groups for cooking in aluminum and there are groups for cooking on Blackstone griddles and other kinds of cookware, the cast iron groups really outnumber just about every other foodie cooking group out there by an order of magnitude at least. There's just something about cast iron. I don't know if it's the sense of history that goes with it or what, but there's just something about cast iron that really appeals to people. And I, for one, am certainly not going to argue with that. I mean, heck, I've dedicated pretty much my online life to cast iron. My YouTube channel, my Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever have you. Because for me, it's a lot of fun. And all of this is another good reason why I'm very much looking forward to passing on this Wagner Griddle to the winner of this contest tonight. And the fact that, again, I'm not being paid for this. I'm just doing this because it's a hobby that I very much enjoy. Okay, there we go. Got rid of that too. All right. Jim Glatar. My first rule of cooking, cook for yourself. If you don't like an ingredient, leave it out. Yes, exactly. And I have no arguments at all with that. That's why I disagree heartily with the crowd who says that you have to cook things a certain way. You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about sugar in cornbread. No, you can't have sugar in cornbread. Or no, you can't have beans in chili. Or no, you can't have pineapple on top of pizza. No, Chicago deep dish pizza is not a real pizza. Those kind of things. I disagree heartily with all of those statements because if they taste good, then I am very much all for it. So I'm really not much as far as these foodie arguments go. As far as I'm concerned, I will try anything, just about anything anyway. And if I like it, then I'm going to give it a thumbs up. All right. I put sugar in my cornbread pancakes, says Val's Black Cat's rule. Yes, that's another thing. I have not yet made cornbread pancakes, but it is definitely on my list very soon. Maybe this weekend, in fact. Just don't do what is in the gumbo. um, are you talking about the Disney gumbo that they made a few years ago? You know, that famous Disney gumbo that had kale and a whole bunch of other things in it? I have not forgotten that, and I don't think anybody will ever forgive Disney for that. Pardon me. Pineapple and tomato sauce is gross. Well, again, to each their own, Huggy Bear. Even experts cannot improve on cast iron. No, but they are certainly trying. You've seen how they've got these so-called hybrid pans that all claim to be as good as cast iron, for instance. Um, Not to mention, of course, the deluxe cast iron makers that they're coming out today, including the new Wagner Ware. There we go, getting the subject back to that. You know, the fact that there is a company right now called Wagner Ware, and they're really out there to cash in on the popularity of the vintage Wagner Ware. And why not? I mean, heck, if they can actually make a profit, well, then I'd say as long as they're doing it legally, then I'm all for it. As I mentioned, there is some suspicion about the new Wagner Ware company, and that they're not as open as, like, say, Field or Stargazer or Grizzly or Butterpap. But hey, as long as they're not doing anything illegal, then really, I suppose that's really their business more than anything else. Which is another reason why I will be more than happy. Oh yeah, nice sound, I'm sure. I will be more than happy to pass on this Wagner Griddle to the winner of this contest tonight. Which, once again, that means to anybody, if you have not yet typed the secret phrase into the chat, please feel free to do so. That way, you will be entered into the giveaway contest. You only need to type that secret phrase in once. You do not have to type it in 10,000 times, and please don't type it in 10,000 times. That will not increase your chances of winning. In fact, it might even get you kicked out of here. All right. George Washington liked cornbread pancakes with honey and maple syrup on them. And they found him and his dog. What? Okay. Yeah, I'll ask about that at another time. Okay, I once worked at a deli. A guy ordered a meatball hero with mayo. I asked him to repeat the order. He did. I put 2 Alka-Seltzers in his bag. Well, I mean, if that's what he wanted, and of course, he's the customer. So, you know, the customer is always right. Yeah, and in some instances, that might not even make for a bad experience, at least in some instances. Let me see here. Okay, now that I've been wasting all my time on this, I should probably even. Well, that might not be a bad plan, I think. You know how people say you can just clean cast iron with salt? Let me turn this burner back on, and I think I'll give that a try. All right, so I'm turning this on right. I'm turning this on to medium right now. I'm going to heat it up like this for a couple of minutes. I'm going to see if I can get this cleaned up just by using salt. Okay. I like that the Wagners are involved, not the companies that bought them in the 60s and 70s. Well, actually, the companies bought them in the late 50s. That was when Wagner Ware was first bought out by, I should know this. Was it Randall, I think? Yeah, I mean, at first, this company bought out Wagner, and then after that, the same company bought out Griswold. But on the other hand, Griswold had sold out during the 1940s anyway. Well, sort of sold out. The Griswold family sold the company to, and I believe it was an investors or even the company employees formed their own company. Well, however it was, the Griswold family sold out in the 1940s, in fact. But anyway, in the 1950s, Wagner was indeed acquired by, I'm pretty sure it was Randall Corporation, or was it Textron? Either way, Then that same company acquired Griswold, and as we know, Griswold shut down, and everything was merged into the Wagner foundry in Sydney, Ohio. And then they were like that until they were bought out again by General Housewares in the late 1960s. And then it went from there. So, yeah, corporate ownership. But, well, that's history. I mean, there were a lot of reasons for it, not the least of which, of course, is that all of the cast iron manufacturers were having serious problems trying to stay afloat during the 70s and 80s. So they really had to do anything they could to survive. And they did manage to survive at least up until the 90s. But eventually, well, as we know, Wagner went out of business. But yes, it's really because of the renaissance in cast iron more than anything else that the Wagner company is back. Does the salt and half a potato scrub work for cleaning? Well, I think I'm about to find out. We can always see whether or not that works. I'm told all you really need to use is salt. So I'm going to see how that works here. I can't believe KTEL was not an owner at one time. Oh, yeah, I know. KTEL. Oh, man, does that ever bring that back? Yeah. Yeah. KTEL presents Cast Iron Recipes of the 70s. All right. Yeah, walk on the wild side. Okay. I don't know if salt would be too abrasive for your seasoning. I'm not so sure about that. Salt is really, while it is in fact a mineral, I wouldn't think that it's really all that abrasive. The best I could do is let's put some on. Let's see. And now that we've done that, let me get a paper towel. And the other thing would be my tongs because I'm a little tired of burning myself here. So, excuse me, please. I've got to get my tongs out. Here we are. And I also don't want to trip on this cord. That's another lesson I've learned recently. The idea of the salt is apparently it's supposed to be able to absorb the oil, if I understand right. That's collected here. Especially the oil in this well, just that, in this grease trap all along the side of this pan. Because yay, here's another selling point, I guess, in that this has a grease trap all along the outer rim. But as I said, I think the idea is absorbing the liquid. I don't think it's doing that bad of a job. I am giving it a nice good scrubbing, and it does not feel like it is very abrasive, by the way. It does not feel like it is really scratching anything, including the seasoning. I have not really cleaned cast iron with salt very much. I'm more of a traditionalist in that I use the old, scrub it off under warm to hot water, dry it off on the burner, and then and then just give a few drops or less of oil to then re-season it. That's my preferred method usually. All right. Anyway, whoops! Don't want that to catch on fire. That would not be good. Chainmail is so dang expensive. Plus, I don't care if it's a used one from a thrift store. Yes, exactly. Oh yeah. Um. Here's my chainmail scrubber, and I just realized this chainmail scrubber I've had this for 11 years. I got this for Christmas in 2013, and I use it almost every day for cleaning my cast iron, and it still looks almost as good as new. Not that I'm bragging, but I guess largely because I've done my best to take care of it. Okay, this is probably enough to turn off the burner at this point. But again, I will wash this griddle again before I ship it out to the winner of this contest. Which, once again, this is a giveaway contest. If you folks are interested in having a chance of winning this very griddle that I am cleaning off right now, just simply type the secret phrase into the chat, and it must be typed into the chat. Please do not type it into the comments. That will not get you entered into the contest. This is especially for you folks who are kind enough to show up here on YouTube Live. And thank you very much for that. All right, well, now that I've done this and I've heated this pan up and it is so incredibly hot, I think I'm going to have to wait until it cools off before I scrape off this extra salt here. Okay, my brain won't register what I bought 2 days ago, but not eggs. I have a butcher glove, haven't used it yet, says Hog Wild. My chain scrubber came from a discount culinary outlet store. Well, that all sounds good. I'm thinking, by the way, the difference in chainmail scrubbers, I would have to say the ones with these smaller chain links would probably do a better job cleaning because, of course, they can get into the corners and the grooves better than the ones that have the larger chain links, for whatever that's worth. Of course, on the other hand, chainmail scrubbers are great, but then again, the old green Scotch-Brite scrubbies, they also do a good job on at least 95% of all your cast iron as well. Most of the time, you can easily just use the chainmail scrubber and very quickly just scrub your pans. I mean, once in a while, you do actually have to get down to it. And I think there is some residue that I'm probably going to have to scrub off here as well with the chainmail scrubber, which, as I said, I will do. I will wash this pan before I ship it out to the winner. All right. Yes. Well, thank you again, Brian McLemore. And well, I'm glad you like the videos. And yeah, I also am a fan of a certain movie as well. That's one reason why I chose that as the secret word, especially since I'm really trying to avoid any controversial subjects. However, I feel like having maybe another mouthful of this. Mm. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Hmm. Okay. I like the European scrubbies, but never use it on my cast iron. Huggy Bear. Heavy gauge steel wool is cheaper and works great for cleaning cast iron. Steel wool is good in that steel wool will not scratch the cast iron. It can possibly damage your seasoning, but of course you could always reseason the pan. Depends on how hard you scrub it. The reason why is that stainless steel scrubbies are not as hard as cast iron. The metal is actually harder. So stainless steel scrubbies will not scratch or damage your cast iron. Pass those zooks my way. Oh, yeah, I wouldn't mind doing so. This actually turned out pretty good. It was indeed a nice, easy stir fry. And yeah, I think you're right in that the next time I do this, I would probably do this in a wok. Makes less of a mess. However, I guess I should mention as well. Next week is the last Wednesday of the month, and now finally that means we're going to get to the return of Walk Wednesday next week. I don't like to repeat myself, so I'm not going to do the same stir fry in the wok next week. I'm kind of thinking of maybe going for like a Mongolian beef, perhaps, but we'll see how that all turns out next week. Anyway, okay, yeah, I use steel wool to clean my windshields. 000 grade. Yeah, some stuff is too abrasive for a daily use pan. Well, there is that, that's for sure. Yeah, chainmail scrubbers won't work. No, chainmail scrubbers work because they don't have sharp edges. You're exactly right. That is true here. Let me bring out my scrubby. Correct. You see again all of the rings on this chainmail in that while it is sturdy enough to do some really good scrubbing, the round shape of the rings does help to prevent it from really damaging the seasoning most of the time, although you could still do it if you scrub really, really hard. Mhm. Yes, Walk Wednesday is next week. Exactly. So. Okay, but until then, of course, well, we are going to be getting to the end of this video here. So I think I will just mention one more time as well that, as I said, we are in the midst of a giveaway contest, and the winner will receive this Wagner Ware griddle that, as you can see, I've done my best to break in now. So it is definitely not brand new, and it is definitely not stainless. However, it is not warped. I can guarantee you that will sit flat on your desktop, on your stovetop, and what's more, you'll be getting it for free anyway. so, um, so I don't think anybody, whoever wins this, I don't think you will really have anything to complain about, unless you're a vintage, unless you're trying to resell it. That's where the debate over what the high cost of this particular griddle has come in. It really would have more to do with selling it than actually using it. As far as using it is concerned, I don't think anybody who uses this would complain. What is one thing you're always looking for? I'm always looking for a cast iron bunt pan that continues to elude me. Well, you can buy them from Lodge Cast Iron. I mean, Lodge re-released the bunt pan, and they are actually selling that. If you want a vintage bunt pan, that is much, much harder to find, yes. Although, at least if nothing else, Lodge re-releasing the bunt pan has brought down the price of the vintage pans. Last year, in an antique mall in Virginia, I saw a vintage bunt pan selling with a $100 price tag. I was sorely tempted myself, except for the fact that I have two of them already. so, Jamie Ledgerwood, I've never had enough money to know if I'm truly cheap or just broke. You and me both, and I can definitely say I try to be cheap. I I mean, not all, most of my cast iron collection I've managed to score bargains on. Sometimes I've been extremely lucky. I will not deny that, such as the bargain I got with my the Lodge USA enamel pans, Dutch ovens that I have here. But a lot of my cast iron that I have in my collection, I have in fact found at flea markets and at Brimfield, especially at Brimfield. And only very rarely have I ever bought something good in an antique mall. I find I have much better luck at flea markets and sometimes even at yard sales. And really, as anybody who goes on the vintage hunt knows, what you really need more than anything else is patience. That is the key thing when it comes to actually being able to score vintage cast iron, because you might, if you're lucky, you might make a good score. Oh, I don't know. What would you say? Like maybe every month, every 2 months or so. And that comes from almost constant looking. But on the other hand, when you do make that score, then it's worth it. So, okay. Yeah, I try to be cheap, then I go to the Lodge factory outlet, and then I get broke. Yes, I know that feeling too strong as adventures. A number of my things in my collection have, in fact, come from the Lodge factory store. And yes, Gary D, you're exactly right. Your comment is right, and so is Lawrence Lawson, because I do believe we are getting towards the end of this at this point. I mean, after all, we have seen this Wagner Griddle in action once again, and I am stating just that this contest is going to end when this live video ends. So let's turn back here and say once again, though, if nothing else, though, I mean, as I said, I have difficulty holding these contests, but I will indeed keep my promise, and the winner will indeed get that cast iron griddle as well. It's only necessary for any particular person, anybody here who wants a chance to win it, to simply enter the secret phrase into the chat, and you only have to type it in once. If you've already typed that secret phrase in, you don't have to type it in again. But just be sure to type it in at least once before this video ends. And I'm thinking we'll probably get to the end, getting to the end of it right now, because yeah, once again, I'd say we did what we accomplished to do, because yeah, I've got a nice stir fry here that's going to last me at least a couple of days. So I'm quite happy about that. Just as important, this also helps to keep warm as well in this lovely cold snap that we've been having. I heard you folks have had gotten as low as 20 degrees or more below zero by earlier this morning. I've been lucky in that respect, in that for me, earlier this morning, it was a nice warm -1 degree, only 1 degree below zero. So, yeah, still cold enough though, that's for sure. But yeah, nice thing about cooking on the stove, of course, it definitely helps keep the place warm. So there's a good reason to get into the kitchen, take your kids with you, and do some cooking. It'll keep you warm and it's fun. And that's really, I think, the number one reason why I've gotten so crazy about this hobby, because for me, it's a lot of fun. Cooking in cast iron is fun, and that's really my main reason for doing it. And that's also my real reason for having these live videos here, or even just doing these videos here on YouTube. As I've mentioned before, I find these videos to be a lot of fun, and having you folks here to do so is really a big reason for it. And as Fuzzfork says, yeah, stay warm, kid. Exactly. And yeah, then well, and I'm glad you say it was fun, Val's Black Cats Rules. Thank you very much, because yeah, I do hope folks have been kind enough to be entertained by my rather poor efforts at cooking. So Hog Wild and 18 degrees in Abilene. So today I think we hit 55. Yes, this current cold snap is coming to an end. Even here in New York, we're supposed to hit 30 degrees by the weekend. And that's 30 degrees warmer than it was this morning. So that's something, especially for you folks there who have been getting snow in places like Louisiana and Florida. This is not going to last forever. We will get back into some warmer weather soon enough. But so now just keep warm and cook. You know, it's time to make chili, and it's time to get out your cast iron. And as I said, make something fun, whether it's a stir fry or a pizza or whatever you want. Just have some fun. That's really probably the best thing. And yes, exactly, JR finishes. Well, I hope they're informative as well. My main goal is to have fun. But I mean, if I'm able to pass on some knowledge, well, then that's actually very flattering, considering I'm hardly an expert either. So, but good night as well to Jamie Ledgerwood. Yes, thank you very much. And thank you to everybody who's been kind enough to show up here tonight. Again, you have maybe about a minute or so yet to type that secret phrase into the chat if you have not done so. But thank you to everybody who's been kind enough to be here, to Dean Reedy and Colonel Ingus and William Hurt. Nice, exciting chat. Well, thank you so much. And Strong's Adventures. But I do believe that south of us got a lot of snow. Oh, yeah, nice. And thank you, Azalea. Nice to see these new folks here as well. Thank you. And exactly, good time to clean out the cupboards. That's also true. And Bob Hughes and Granny Graham and Cynthia Wesley, and thanks to everybody who has been kind enough to show up. So, like I said, I will be gathering these comments together, and I will be putting them all together in a list so that everyone will have a fair and equal chance to win this griddle. And then I will do a random drawing, and we will see who the winner is of that Wagner cast iron griddle. I hope to have that done by tomorrow. But until then, as I mentioned, this contest ends when this video ends. So thank you, everybody who has been kind enough to be here tonight. Yes, and Strong's Adventures, yes, hit the thumbs up. Thank you very much for that, too. We have almost no snow, but lots of very cold weather. It's been like that here in central New York as well. But, well, in some ways, it's not so bad, because at least I haven't had to shovel it for at least a few days. But thank you to everybody as well who's been kind enough to be here tonight. And keep warm, everybody. So just relax and do some cooking, and we will determine the winner of the contest. And other than that, see you next Wednesday.